Hello, everyone, and welcome to Kings of Fantasy Football. I'm your co-host Pablo, and here's my co-host.
Leo.
So, in today's episode, we are going to go over the AFC division. We're going to name some top players to look out for this fantasy football season, some players to avoid, and a sleeper. So, this episode is going to be encompassing all that. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. And let's start with the AFC East. So the AFC East consists of Buffalo Bills, Miami Dolphins, New England Patriots, and New York Jets. So my top three targets that you want to draft this upcoming fantasy football season is Josh Allen from the Buffalo Bills, Tyreek Hill from the Dolphins, and Breece Hall from the Jets. So those are my top three. Josh Allen, even though he lost weapons, all the experts are predicting that he will be QB number one again. He's been QB1, I think, 4 out of the last 5 years. Tyreek Hill, especially if it's PPR league, points per reception, I think he is a lock-in as a PPR machine. And then for Breece Hall and the Jets, he had a really good year last year. I don't think he'll be able to duplicate the success that he had last year, but I do think it's enough to make him a top 5 running back when the year's over. So those are my top three. What about you, Leo?
All right, I'm just gonna say the Miami Dolphins and get it over with now. No, just draft all your Dolphins. No, yeah, I agree with. I have two of the same that you. Tyreek Hill. He's the Cheetahs is when he got implemented into that offense a couple years ago, like the Dolphins offense took off, and that's gonna continue. This morning he just signed an extension for $90 million, so that's gonna lock him down there, down here in the 305 for a few more years. Breece Hall, I love Breece Hall this year. We talked about in the last podcast that he went in the first couple rounds. He's gonna be the main guy there and main running back there in the Jets. He's gonna continue dominating the carries there, so that should be another year top 5 finish, and I think he's gonna flirt trying to go for the top running back overall. The other, obviously Josh Allen is good, but I'm gonna go another way. I'm gonna go with Devon Chain as my third top pick here in the AFC East. He's when he was implemented into the offense, his points per game was out of this world. When obviously if he stays healthy, it would have been nice to see what he could have done last year. Raheem Mostert is there still, but I think Devon Chain is gonna come, take it to the next level, especially in the receiving game. That's what the bread and butter of the Dolphins. So definitely look out for that. Another guy I also wanted to mention, like a consolation prize there, is Dalton Kincaid. You might want to think about drafting him as well.
So interesting that you bring up A-Chain because out of all the experts and info that I've looked at for this upcoming season, I'm not saying that experts don't like him. What I am saying is that they're iffy. It's not like for sure I'm gonna draft him if he's available, because the consistency. I think last year, if I remember correctly, Mostert probably got the majority of the goal line touches. But with A-Chain, his explosiveness, like he can get a screen pass and take it to the house.
Right.
So I just think that if he were available and I'm drafting today, I don't I don't know if I for sure pull the trigger. Um, I'm not saying I don't like him, but I just think it's iffy for me.
Yeah, I think
Um,
it depends like where he, obviously where you are in the draft. Like to me, maybe at the end of the second round, third round for sure. If he's in the available in the third round, I think he's definitely a player to pick there in the third round. In the second, it depends who's left. If any of those top receivers fall down, fall back in the draft, that's what you would, like in the turn, the 2-3 turn. That's when you would start. Like if he's there, I think you start thinking about him.
all right. Now my sleeper um, for this division is actually the guy that you just mentioned, Kincaid. Um, I think his average draft position right now, there's big name tight ends going before him. Mark Andrews, Kelsey, Laporta. You have the tight end from San Francisco, George Kittle. So you have all these big name tight ends, going before him. And I think because of the people that left, you have, if I remember, I think it was like 100 something targets um, that
Yeah,
Diggs
probably like
had last
180. Yeah,
year.
it was up there. Yeah, it was up there. It was a lot.
So those targets have to go somewhere. And I wouldn't be surprised if a good chunk of those go Kincaid's way. Now, the only thing I'm a little concerned about is Knox. Knox is still going to be relevant. He's just not going to go away, meaning like that they're not going to throw him the ball at all. But I think especially in the later rounds, I definitely would pull the trigger if Kincaid was.
Yeah, Knox will be there. Yeah, not I think they both will like play, but I think he'll be more of a blocker, and Kincaid will get more of the targets. Knox will get his, but I think the differential of targets is going to be way more on Kincaid's side for sure. As
Who's your
for
sleeper
from
for
yeah,
the
so for my
AFC East?
sleeper, I'm actually gonna venture into New England. I
Oh,
know,
really?
yeah.
Man,
I'm gonna
that
get some real sleepers here, man. Um, so obviously we don't know who is gonna be the top receiver there in New England, but I mentioned this name I think or like in a previous podcast, and I'm gonna go with Jalen Polk. He's a rookie receiver. He's from Washington in that explosive offense that they had up there in the Northwest in college, and I really like what I'm hearing so far in training camp. He's been making plays, has a good rapport with the quarterbacks there. So I'm gonna go with Jalen Pope as my sleeper. He's gonna this is gonna be like a sleeper more into the double digit rounds that you can get him.
now something that I want to at least mention from reports that I've seen, um, TikTok and other fantasy sources, is that Drake May might not be the starter in New England. I hear
Yeah,
that the other quarterback that they drafted has been doing well. So
yeah, Milton.
I think, man, that would be a shock for me because again, you get somebody such a high draft pick, you expect him to start, and who
But
knows, maybe he'll be on the bench and learn. But I was just kind of shocked with that report, to be honest.
yeah, I think both guys are actually gonna not neither one are gonna start right off the season. I think Jacoby Brissett is gonna start the season as a quarterback, and then depending how he fares will depend how soon they'll put in the whichever rookies is showing better. Right.
All right, now my do not draft list is kind of opposite of what you just said. Is nobody from New England to me is a must-have. Um,
Right.
the only one that I would maybe pull the trigger on if it's a late round, is the running back for Monday Stevenson. But even then,
Yeah.
I wouldn't want him as my RB1 for my starting running back. So
Yeah.
yeah, I do not draft pretty much anybody from the Patriots.
Yeah. So yeah, Ramondre Stevenson. Yeah, I think he'll be a nice running back 3 for your team, fantasy teams out there and stuff like that. And where he's going in the ADP, it's a good spot. So my don't draft. I have a couple guys. But the main one is I'm gonna talk about first is Mike Williams. He's a newly receiver, a newly receiver signed with the Jets in the offseason. He's returning off from an ACL injury that he had last year with Los Angeles Chargers. When he plays, he's good, but the thing is that he's always hurt, and it's gonna take some. He's still not really playing so far in training camp. He's I think on the pup list already. Still recovering, and he needs to be on the field so he can get that camaraderie with and chemistry with Aaron Rodgers. So for me, I'm gonna lay low on Mike Williams. The other guy I was gonna mention, which is not really no one's really drafting him now anyway. But maybe like Odell Beckham, that he's just signed with the Dolphins. Uh, he's, unless there's injuries ahead of him, I don't see him really. Uh, you know, he's like a late round flyer if anything, but nothing that you wanna be picking up early. I would stay away from him as well, but
What's
mainly
his?
Mike Williams.
Is he like the wide receiver 3 on the depth chart?
Yeah, wide receiver
No,
3 for now. Yeah,
no.
but I think that like they'll still. I think they'll throw to the running backs too before like him. Like a chain and stuff like that.
Right. So moving on to the AFC North. So the AFC North consists of the Bengals, the Browns, the Steelers, and the Ravens. So out of that division, my top 3 is going to be Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and Lamar Jackson. I think Joe Burrow, if he remains healthy, and Jamar Chase as well, they can repeat some of the seasons that they've had in the past, where they essentially were a really good combo if you had them. And then for Lamar Jackson, he is the reigning MVP, so I don't see him regressing a whole lot. And especially in 2 QB leagues, definitely would want to have Lamar Jackson on my team. So those are my top 3 that you want to draft this season. What's your top 3?
All right. Well, we agree on a couple. I definitely agree with Jamar Chase. He's gonna be a top 5 pick, I believe, in the first round of most uh, fantasy drafts this year, unless you're like in a super flex league. So he's definitely be the top guy there. Uh, Before the other person I agree with you is Lamar Jackson. You know, he's like you said, he's a reigning MVP. Uh, he's got weapons now and stuff like that. The only thing that tempers me with him is the other guy I'm gonna pick. That I think he's gonna be a top pick is Derrick Henry. Um, he's walking into an awesome offensive line. Um, that they can't stack the box with him like they have in these last few years because Lamar Jackson's there. So I think he's if he can stay healthy, he's gonna be in for a hell of a year. One of those years to remember that I think he can bust like 12 to 1500 yards and close to touchdowns. Then that's gonna affect obviously Lamar Jackson's uh his touchdown totals running, but he's gonna be a beast to bring down.
So do you think that, I guess, Henry will take away a lot of Lamar's touchdowns come in the red zone, or just there might save Lamar from a lot of the running plays that he would do before having to.
Yeah, I think it'll I think the closer they are to the goal line, the more chances that Henry will get it. He's a load to bring down. I would say, maybe he takes away like three to four touchdowns away from Lamar that he normally gets. Either like it all depends. What's good that they can work off each other. Um, that on the defense side, that they gotta see who's gonna try to bring it in. So, but I think he has a great opportunity to have a great year if he stays healthy.
Okay. So my sleeper um is going to be from the Ravens, and it's going to be second year receiver Zay Flowers. I think this year he can really make that jump, especially if, like you said, they're having to stack people in the box. That'll open up some play action for the Ravens, and I think Zay Flowers will really benefit from that, especially his ADP right now. He is, not going nowhere near as early as these other receivers that we just talked about, Jamar Chase and Tyreek Hill and so forth. So I think at his average draft position, he can have a really good season. Right now, he's currently ranked wide receiver 24 on ESPN PPR. So, drafting him at that average draft position, I think he can do really well. He had a good rookie season, and I think again he can make that jump in year two. Who's your sleeper?
Yeah, Flowers is a really good player. So I'm gonna go a little, like I said, my sleepers. I'm trying to go deep, so if you tend to be like me, that sometimes if you don't get like one of those top tight ends and stuff like that, one of the tight ends that you should start think about drafting is Pat Freiermuth from the Steelers. He's he has a new offensive coordinator, Arthur Smith. That he was with Atlanta for the last couple of years, but he's the new offensive coordinator there. He tends to use his tight ends a lot. As you can see last year, even though Kyle Pitts didn't have a crazy year, he, along with Jonnu Smith, if you put their stats together, was probably like a tight end one. So Freiermuth is the clear tight end here, tight end one here, and I think he's gonna have an excellent year with the Steelers with him there. Another couple of guys there, like deep is not deep, but maybe around 8 to 10 is Jalen Warren, the running back with the Steelers. He's always last couple of years he's been giving Najee Harris a run for his money with touches, and then a name to remember that he was injured and he's coming back is Nick Chubb. So depending if the price is right, he's a don't forget to grab him if he's still maybe in the pup or whatever. Put him on the pup, and when he comes back, like if any, I know guys take long to recover, but Nick Chubb has been a tank for many years, and his work ethic is incredible, and I think he can come back. So definitely someone to and if he comes back anywhere like he was a tight end, a running back one for years, someone to get there.
Right, I like Primus. I think I've had him for a few games when I picked him up from the waiver, so definitely we'll keep an eye out for him. Now, my do not draft is going to be from the Browns, and it's quarterback Deshaun Watson. I would not want him to be my every week starter. He's had problems staying healthy. I'm not saying that he hasn't made improvements since his first year in Cleveland, but fantasy football wise, I again would not want him as my every week starter. Who's your do not draft?
Watson, you have to go with Watson, huh? Your former quarterback. All right. All right. So I'm actually gonna go with his new teammate, Jerry Judy. He signed. He got traded over there for the Broncos. He's already has a lingering injury, nagging injury, I should say. Um, he might miss some time. Um, he has a talent. I just don't know if he's gonna be able to do anything. The only guy I like there for now is Amari Cooper because he's Watson's true wide receiver one, and so I'll pass on Jerry Judy this year.
Definitely agree with that. I saw the report as well, that he's already dealing with the injury, so um, probably gonna stay away from him since Cooper's his favorite target. Next, we have the AFC South. This consists of the Titans, the Colts, the Jaguars, and the Texans. So, my top three that you want to be on the lookout for this year is CJ Stroud, Nico Collins, and then Jonathan Taylor. So, those are the three guys that I definitely would draft if they're there when it's my turn. Stroud, second year. A lot of people believe he might regress, but I don't believe he's going to regress as much as people think, even though he doesn't have a rushing upside. And then I chose Jonathan Taylor over Richardson because I feel like everybody is on the hype train for Richardson this year. ESPN has Richardson ranked ahead of Stroud as far as the QB rankings, which I don't understand. And Richardson had a small sample size. So those are my top three. What is your top three?
Yeah, so we're similar again. I got Jonathan Taylor as the top player to get in from this division. If he's there, Jonathan Taylor. I like Travis Etienne, a Jaguar. I know you don't like that, but I'm doing it. And then we can go either like Nico Collins and C.J. Stroud they're both good there. Those are guys there, and along with Richardson, those are like I think those top five guys are players to draft from this division. They Taylor, if he's healthy, he's one of the best backs in the game. Travis Etienne, so he proved himself that he could stay healthy last year, and he's awesome in the passing game. So he should be highly involved again. And like you said, Nico Collins, he also took it to the next level with CJ Stroud joining him. So the thing is, probably what makes Richardson, like some experts rank him high, is that he's an unbelievable talented. He's a specimen of a man. That guy, and he's uber athletic. He can run. He's like a more athletic Cam Newton, and we all know how Cam Newton was when he played. And I think he might have a better arm. So he's that's why it's just the potential. Like what he was doing in those couple games. He was scoring over 20 fantasy points per game. Just on his running. So if he starts getting the passing going, forget it. He's gonna do well. But CJ Stroud he's got the players to kick butt for sure.
Now, don't get me wrong. I like both players. Like ATN, I like Richardson, especially in the two QB league. I wouldn't mind having Richardson as one of my two. And then, like you said, ETN, he's the workhorse running back in Jacksonville. So definitely would draft him if he was there. Now, my sleeper pick from that division, and I don't know if you can really call it a sleeper, but I would say Ridley. Now that Hopkins went down in Tennessee, that's going to be, I guess, the number one target. Hopkins is out 4 to 6 weeks, so we don't know if he's gonna recover. It's gonna be a lingering injury, so I think Hopkins' stock's gonna fall, obviously, and then you have Ridley's that's gonna rise. So that's my sleeper. I know it's not as in-depth sleeper as you, but what's your sleeper?
Yeah, you know me. I go deep. No, so I got a couple sleepers for you. One is a receiver from the Colts. His name's Josh Downs. He's he had some nice games last year. The thing once that Richardson went down, like his game went up and down. You know, with Minshew throwing him the ball, but prior to Richardson leaving, you know, he was you know, getting injured for the year. You know, he was building some camaraderie with him. So I like Josh Downs, you know, as a late round flyer. The other, you know, quarterback that to mention here, you know, like I said, deep, you know, is Will Levis. You know, it hurts that he just lost DeAndre Hopkins. That, you know, I think that brings us, you know, his sleeper value down. But I think, you know, he had a good connection with him last year. Let's see if he can build it with Ridley, and he can run too. So, you know, this is like, you know, more like a good QB2 when you're like in a super flex, two quarterback league. You know, someone to think about there. But those are my sleepers there.
I agree with Downs. I think Downs was having some good weeks. I remember his name coming up, so probably Richardson had a lot to do with that. Um, Now, my do not draft, even if he is there, is the guy we just mentioned, is Hopkins. Uh, I still think that he is a good receiver. I don't think he's in the conversation of elite anymore. But especially because of his injury, uh, I wouldn't trust him returning healthy. So that is my do not draft. Do not draft.
Yeah, I have Hopkins as well. You know, he was, you know, he's getting up there in age. Now he has a knee injury that they already said he's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. You know, we don't know how intense this injury is. How he's going to recover when he comes back. Maybe he gets hurt again. Could be nagging a year. So I will definitely stay away from him. Just to say another different name, I'm gonna also go maybe with like Tony Pollard. You know, he's a new. They signed him off the Cowboys. The Titans did, and then I prefer, you know, I prefer drafting Tyjae Spears that instead of Pollard if I had to, you know, pick between the two. If you had a decision in your draft, I will go for Tyjae Spears instead of Pollard.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because I think it's really difficult for some managers right now trying to see who's gonna have the better year between them. I think, uh, honestly, if I was the Titans, I just would have kept Spears. I think he was doing good,
Yeah.
though Derrick Henry was there last year. So I don't see why they went after Pollard, but it's just me.
Yeah, if he didn't, I'm sorry to interrupt, but if they didn't sign Pollard, Tyjae Spears will probably be like an RB, like top 10, top 12. He'll be going a lot earlier. Um, by signing
For
Pollard,
sure.
it kind of gives them still a good value that you can get them. You know, so just wanted to mention that.
Totally agree. So the last division that we have is the AFC West, which includes the Broncos, the Chiefs, the Raiders, and the Chargers. So I'm gonna go a little bit um, different here, and I'm just gonna follow what the experts have been saying. So one of the experts are saying that we should be on the lookout to draft is rookie wide receiver Lad McConkey. Apparently, he has really good route running, gets good separation, and the other wide receivers there is Palmer and Tark. I'm not saying Palmer can't have a good year, but I don't know if he can have a better year than McConkey. And this is all dependent on Herbert. He's dealing with a foot injury, So if he's not ready week one, I think it changes McConkey's outlook. But I think if he's there in the later rounds, I definitely would draft him. And then I'm going to go with another rookie, which is Xavier Worthy with the Chiefs. I think especially if Rasheed Rice doesn't play with all of his troubles, I don't see why Worthy can't step in. We've seen some clips. He's really fast, getting 60-yard passes from Mahomes, making it look effortless. So wouldn't mind either of those two rookies. And then the last one is going to be Mahomes. I think experts are saying that he's going to regress, but at this point, you can't doubt the Chiefs anymore. You were doubting them last year, and they ended up winning the Super Bowl, so I don't see why people would doubt Mahomes any longer. Those are my top three.
All right. Yeah, definitely. Always Mahomes is you always want to draft him. You'll be silly. You'll be silly now to want to draft him, right? Yeah. So I got a couple with you there. So McConkey, yeah, he's good. Definitely I think he's gonna take the Keenan Allen role. More of a PPR guy. So definitely someone to look at. But since you mentioned, I'm gonna just say a few other names. So Xavier Worthy also, he was there on my list. He's been looking great. And also a guy I mentioned earlier, this is like my 1A 1B. The other guy is Hollywood Brown, Marquise. He's also been making plays in training camp. So it's gonna be, you know, Mahomes is gonna have that Tyreek Hill-ish kind of players, now multiple players with Worthy running down one side and Brown on the other. So that's gonna be pretty crazy and if Rashid still plays with Kelly, jeez, the offense is gonna be nuts. The couple other guys that I wanted to draft, for there is Zamir White. They really didn't bring no one in the off season to challenge him as a and the running back. So room. So I definitely think that Zamir White should make plays. He's going a little bit further back in drafts. So if you tend to do like a like a zero RB kind of strategy, that's maybe a running back that you can get later in the rounds. And then the other guy I want someone to draft is I want to go with Brock Bowers, the number one tight end rookie that they drafted. Even though Mike Mayers is there, they didn't care. They go like, let's go with Brock Bowers. They're already saying he's already making plays there again in training camp. So he could be a possible tight end. In the top 10 in his rookie year. So he's extraordinary talented tight end and someone to look at for sure.
All right. So that was actually going to be my sleeper pick is Zamir White. Like you said, they didn't really bring anybody in to challenge him. I believe he was one of the ones that came out on social media where he was looking really, really strong, really healthy, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't think that Madison's going to take a lot of touches away from him. So I think he's the clear RB1 there. Who's your sleeper?
My sleeper is a rookie running back with I always want to say San Diego, but it's the Los Angeles Chargers. His name is Kimani Vidal. The guys that are in front of him now is Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. I'll save my comment about J.K. Dobbins in a moment. But Vidal, he did really well in his college career, and I don't think he has much talent. There's talent in front of him, but they're not usually healthy. So I think he has a chance to be a nice flyer for you in the later rounds. Just to have him there and like a little lottery ticket. If these guys go down, I think you can prosper later in the year for sure.
Okay. Then my do not draft may come as a shock, but I just saw this TikTok today, and my do not draft is Devontae Adams. He's going second round, and I'm not saying that he has not been good. Of course, we know his stats speak for himself, but especially last year, dealing with the shoulder injury, his quarterback play wasn't great at all. Hasn't gotten better. I just think I would not draft him in the second round if he was there. So that's my do not draft. He's going to be 32 this year, so I think for his average draft position, he's just too expensive.
Yeah.
So that's my do not draft. Who's your do not draft?
Yeah, I can see what you say. The thing with him, like it's a shame that these last couple of years, his quarterback situation blows. So like at the end of his career, he's kind of being wasted. So my do not draft is I'm gonna give you like two guys. So I previously mentioned from earlier, J.K. Dobbins. Like dude is talented, like beyond our wildest dreams, but the guy can't stay healthy. He's already he's he's never played a full season. He's very talented, but just can't stay healthy. So I would just don't do it. Just look the other way when you see him come up in your draft queue and pick someone else. The other guy I'm gonna say not to draft. I'm not gonna draft. I'm tired of. I'm a sucker for this guy, and he always keeps letting me down. So, Kadarius Toney, I'm not drafting you, man. That's it. Enough's enough. It's another guy
Yeah, we know that he's had issues with dropping balls and everything. So
yeah.
I see why you said that. Well, that concludes our AFC must drafts, sleeper picks, and do not drafts. So thank you everyone for tuning in and listening. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me on X at ArchReaper, ARCHREAPR. I always post a status with our link to our podcast as well as a link to our fantasy football Discord for those of you that want to join. Leo, where can they reach you?
Yeah, if you have any fantasy questions, I want to talk about draft strategies, you can reach me on X at smooth1074. Yeah, I also do some videos here and there on TikTok at FFLeoG. Also do some write for Fighting Chance Fantasy. That we had a recent article that came out that we had like 5 questions that we talked about to get you ready for the draft. And I'm also do some player profiling on the news desk at Player Profiler. So you can reach me out there, and we can discuss more fantasy.
All right. Again, thank you everyone for tuning in, and see you guys next week.
Peace.